son knew very well. He knows everyone. He's also Lee Greenwood right from the beginning. That song went on. Trump 2028. We're driving the left crazy.
The desert was scorching, the air thick with dust, and the base, Udeid Air Base in Qatar, buzzed with a kind of quiet tension that only those in uniform could fully understand. It was a kind of place where time seemed to bend around the routine of deployment. Wake up, suit up, train, wait, repeat. The only real break in the monotony came from the occasional high-level visit. And on this particular day in May 2025, the buzz had turned into a roar. Not because of jets slicing through the sky, but because the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, was stepping onto the base once again. He wasn't just visiting. He came with a message. And for many in that desert, under the harsh Qatari sun, the message felt like a thunderclap. Wearing his signature red tie and a navy blue suit that seemed entirely too warm for the Gulf heat, Trump took the stage to the sound of a military band playing a crisp, upbeat tune. Troops stood at attention, others gathered casually at the back, and somewhere in the mix was that familiar military combination of skepticism, curiosity, and the hope that maybe, just maybe, this visit wouldn't be all rhetoric. "Ladies and gentlemen," Trump began, pausing as his voice echoed across the hangar, "I came all the way here because you matter. Not just to me, not just to your families, but to the entire United States of America. And it's about time somebody treated you that way." The applause wasn't just polite. It was appreciative, because for all the political disagreements back home, out here, far from the campaign trails and televised debates, the troops cared about one thing: leadership that remembered them. Trump wasn't there just to shake hands and pose for pictures. He came with concrete announcements, and he wasted no time diving into what mattered most to the people standing in front of him. "First things first," he said with a smile that had more grit than charm, "you're getting a raise." Cheers erupted. Not because it was a surprise. Rumors had been circulating for weeks, but because hearing it from the commander-in-chief made it real. Trump explained that his administration's 2026 defense budget included a substantial pay increase for all active-duty military personnel, not just officers. Everyone. Every single one of you deserves to be paid not just for what you do, but for what you're willing to do, he continued. You signed up to defend freedom, and it's about time we stop making you pay the price alone. It was a kind of line that hit hard out there. In a world where deployments stretch relationships, where missed birthdays and anniversaries are part of the job, financial recognition meant something. It wasn't everything, but it was something. Trump shifted gears quickly, his tone growing sharper as he turned to the state of the US military itself. "When I was first elected," he said, "I made a promise to rebuild the greatest fighting force the world has ever known. We were depleted, we were stretched thin, and we had leadership that didn't know how to win. That's not acceptable." He rattled off numbers, budget increases, modernization efforts, troop readiness stats, all delivered with a familiar Trump bravado. But beneath the political flair was a point that resonated deeply. The military was stronger now than it had been in years, and Trump wasn't shy about taking credit for it. "The world doesn't respect weakness," he said, "and we're not here to make friends with our enemies. We're here to keep America safe, and that means being tougher, smarter, and better equipped than anyone else." It wasn't all fire and fury, though. Trump turned to what he called the bigger picture. The strategic value of Udeid Air Base wasn't lost on him, and he spoke openly about the new $10 billion agreement with Qatar. The deal wasn't just about military cooperation. It included infrastructure upgrades for the base itself, better living quarters, state-of-the-art training facilities, and a stronger regional footprint for US forces. But the biggest headline was what he called a game-changer. The $42 billion defense pact with Qatar. It included everything from F-15 fighter jets to advanced drone systems, specifically the MQ-9B Reapers. It also meant jobs back home, investments in US defense contractors, and deeper ties with a key ally in the Middle East. "We're not just building weapons," Trump said. "We're building deterrence. We're building peace through strength." That line, peace through strength, was classic Trump. But here, in a region often torn by conflict, it landed differently. The soldiers knew the price of peace. They lived it every day. The speech wasn't without its bobs. Trump took a few moments to criticize the handling of the Afghanistan withdrawal, calling it a complete disaster. "We lost brave men and women because of incompetence," he said, his voice tight with anger. "That should never happen. Not on my watch. Not ever again. It was a direct jab at his successors, but it struck a chord with the troops. Many had served in Afghanistan. Some had watched friends come home in flag-draped coffins. The bitterness of that final chapter still lingered. Then came the curveball, an idea so bold, so controversial, it instantly sparked headlines worldwide. Trump proposed what he called the Freedom Zone in Gaza. He envisioned a region transformed from rubble into a hub of business, entertainment, and innovation. A Las Vegas of the Middle East, if you will, backed by international investors and guarded by multilateral security forces. I know it sounds crazy, he admitted, but so did peace talks with North Korea. So did moving the embassy to Jerusalem. And yet we did it. Reactions were mixed. Some troops chuckled, others whispered, a few shook their heads. But that was Trump style. Throw the idea out there, let the world argue, and keep pushing forward. As the speech drew to a close, Trump's tone softened. He looked out over the crowd of uniforms, some weathered by years of service, others still bearing the shine of new boots. You didn't choose the easy path, he said. You chose the right one. And for that, I thank you. America thanks you. There was no teleprompter, just a few scribbled notes and a message straight from the gut. Whatever else people might say about Donald Trump, the troops in Qatar that day saw a leader who came not just to speak, but to listen, to encourage, and to promise better days ahead. After the speech, Trump mingled. He shook hands, signed hats, took selfies. The atmosphere was more like a family reunion than a political rally. And for the soldiers, many far from home, it felt good to be seen. Back in Washington, analysts debated the implications of Trump's announcements. Was the Gaza plan feasible? Would the defense deal shift the balance of power in the Middle East? Could a pay raise actually improve morale long term? But none of those questions mattered much on the tarmac at Al Udeid. There, under the blazing Gulf sun, the message was simple. America hasn't forgotten you, and neither has its president. The visit came and went, as presidential visits do. But for those who were there, the words lingered. In the mess halls, on the flight lines, in the quiet moments between shifts. Because sometimes, in a job that demands everything, all you want to hear is that someone has your back. And that day in Qatar they did.